Ndị be anyị kene m unu. Asị m ka echiri ya zero. Once again, good morning, good afternoon, good night, depends your time and your location. You are joining us today at Eastern News 24. Asị m ka Chukwu oke abịa ma premier niile onye na-akpọkwa okwu ya aza ngozi ụmụ Biafra n'ime ihe ndị Biafra ya abịa and Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ya pụtara mkpọrọ ise. Alright, I am up in also if I were no bossing keta. Today is unforgettable day in Biafra land. And first of all, before we proceed, let's give a minute silent to the great heroes that fought during the Biafran war, and also those that have been killed in war at all the different places in Biafra land. Let us give Kenyan a minute silent to those our fallen heroes. May their soul rest in peace. Ise. Alright, I am up on the also if I were no bossing ketana Odika. Ozu ne big obo a mind blowing. When I called it mind blowing, I cried after listening to Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's speech on 30th May. And I decided to re-broadcast it to the Biafrans. Okay, make sure you listen to this clip. Powerful. It's so powerful. As in Adam Koya Baramelinisi. Mazi Nnamdi Kanu powerful speech on 30th May. Geya bife, unigeseya bife, una agwa ifun lelo. Basta maka ife Mazi Nnamdi Kanu ku na yabo audio clip une jeno boa. Alright, over to you, my able leader Onyendu. Over to you, sir. But once again, before we switch to the audio clip, we'll be dropping the Biafran spokesperson Mazi Simon Eba and also the Biafran PM Mazi Simon Eba clip on Heroes Day, today being 30th of May 2023. We'll also be dropping it at Eastern News 24, so make sure you stay tuned. More new things and more updates is coming. Alright, over to you, Onyendu. Over to you, sir.
Biafra land is locked down, markets are not open, nothing at all, no schools, no offices are opened, no banks, nothing. Everywhere is at a complete standstill and total shutdown. In respect to the memory of those that died, that we live, without the soldiers that fought between 67 and 70, we will not be alive today. We will, or we would have become another version of the Hausa race that only has a language to cling on to. Everything else about them has been obliterated from the face of the earth, completely erased by the virulent colonization that went on unchecked many centuries ago. That is what we are fighting against, and in our time it will not happen. I welcome you wherever you are, regardless of what you're doing. I know that some of you have not woken up this very morning, but we have remained awake up until these very hours from here, these early hours from here, Atlanta in Georgia, to bring you this very first of our two-part broadcast this very day, because another broadcast will be coming up again at precisely 6 p.m. in the evening, 12 hours from now. Another broadcast will be coming from us here from the event center at the Martin Luther King Center in Atlanta in Georgia, USA. We welcome everybody who is presently in Atlanta. We have coming from all across the USA and Canada as well. I welcome each and every one of you. We are now waiting for those of them that are actually domiciled in Georgia itself to be able to join us later on. We must proceed, and as today is a very special day, commenced with the candlelight vigil last night, very moving, very poignant, very emotional, I challenge anybody to look at the pictures and the videos that came out of the vigil that was held across Biafra land and tell me they were not moved. This very generation of IPOB, this very generation of hardcore Biafrans, we have done our duty and we will continue to do so, that posterity may not only judge us, but view us in a very positive light. We must proceed this very morning because those of them who allow their memories to be raised end up becoming extinct. We will not allow our history to be swept under the carpet. We will not allow our enemies to dictate the pace of our lives. We will not allow our gallant and very brave soldiers, men and women and boys and girls that fought and died in our battlefields in our land, defending you and I, to be forgotten. We will never ever forget them. Moments such as today, this very hour, this very day, at the rising of the sun in the holy land of Biafra, we dedicate this very 30th of May 2019, a very sober day, to the memory of our dear departed, our dead soldiers, our gallant volunteers that have been fighting very seriously to maintain whatever semblance of civility that is left in our people. With nothing save for their faith, they fought what was in effect a Third World War. This very legendary class of 67 to 70 that we salute and honor on this very day, and every other person that made it possible for the cries of Biafran children to be heard all over the world. People like Bruce Mayrock that we also remember on this very day. Our fathers, our mothers, our uncles, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins, our children and relatives, whose passing into the land of the silence we will by ourselves, by becoming not only silent on this very day in Biafra land, but making sure that we sit at home to honor and respect them for the sacrifices that they made for us. On this very day, 52 years ago, hope was born. Although short-lived for about 3 years, it gave us a glimpse of what we should aspire for as a freedom-loving people, as a race beloved of Almighty Chukwukika Abiyama, Elohim in heaven. The sit at home today, which we are all going to observe across Biafra land, is a tradition born all the way back in 2014, at a time when our people appeared to have lost its way, a time when leadership without moral authority was forced upon our people to compel us to deny a grave historical injustice done to our people. Every other race on this earth that have suffered genocide have been recognized, at least acknowledged, if not celebrated, but at least remembered, from Armenia all the way to Rwanda. The 3.5 million officially documented death in Biafra land is the second largest genocide in modern history. We will not allow it to be swept under the carpet. The corrupt and inept leadership that resulted in our Fulani in the cabal of the damnable Zoological Republic to seek to suppress this very inescapable aspect of history, we will not allow to continue. Therefore, we must do what is right. We must do what is honorable. We must remember those that passed on, those that fought gallantly and fell with nothing in their hands that fought against the combined might of Britain, of Russia, the conspiratorial acquiescence of the United States of America under Nixon, the OAU and the Arab League, they all joined forces to fight this very tiny Biafra. And we withstood them for 3 years, something that no other race has been able to do in the history of warfare at any time in human history. Therefore, we must honor our people. Therefore, this very day, we must sit at home to respect those that fought and died for us. And for those who have died and in whose memory we must sit at home today across Biafra land, we must pray as it is customary for us here on Radio Biafra and across the entire platform that is run by IPOB. Almighty and eternal God, Elohim, Chukwu Kika Biama Purumi Henine, Adonai El Shaddai, from whose love and grace we, your children of Biafra, cannot be separated, either by death or life. This day, 30th of May, 2019, we ask you to hear our cries, to hear our humble prayers and thanksgiving for all whom we remember that fought and died for the preservation of Biafra and for the survival of the race of the nationalities that constitute Biafra. You will fulfill, as in them, as also in us, the purpose of your love, and bring us all together with your spirit to your eternal joy through your everlasting grace and mercy. You are a God of truth, a God of justice. We pray that your justice prevail upon the memory of the dead and the righteous yearnings of the living as we battle through seemingly impossible odds to attain the peace and freedom that only you can bestow. We hold before you our glorious dead, gallant men and women who died in defense of Biafra and for the upholding of its ideals. We remember those that fell in Asaba, those that fought very gallantly in Abagana, those that defended Oka, those that barricaded themselves at Mpo. We remember what happened at Owerri. Not only was it taken once, but taken twice by the dwindling, very hardened, albeit war-weary Biafran soldiers. We remember those that fought at Okigwe, at Igurota, those that fought in Oron, those that ensured that Omaha was the last capital that defended it very gallantly. We remember all those of us IPOB that fell at Indiana River, those that fell at Iguacha, those that fell at Onitsha, those that were buried in shallow graves in Opa. We remember the atrocities in Obibo, and we also know what happened elsewhere. As we honor their courage and cherish their memory, may we put our faith in the future that only you, Elohim, have prepared for us, and not in the future of man, a future of freedom and that of liberty. For you are the source of our life and our hope. Everlasting Father, you know our hearts and how deep our sorrows are. We are hurt by the death of those whom we loved. We are angry at the loss we have sustained, the unprovoked brutality and slaughter of the inner comfort elude us at this very point in time. Please turn our grief to joy, our affliction to a dance of victory. Let your hope be rekindled in us. Please have mercy upon us, O Elohim, and those of us who mourn, who feel numb and crushed, and are filled with the pain of grief, whose strength has given up. You know all our sighing and longings. Be near to us, O Lord, and teach us to fix our hope on you, and on you alone, and not on any man. Gracious Lord, do not abandon us in our desolation. You will keep us safe in the midst of trouble, and complete your purpose for us in this very life through your steadfast love and faithfulness. Our eyes, O Elohim, are wasted with grief. You know we are weary with groaning as we remember our death. In the dark emptiness of the night, have mercy upon us and heal us. Forgive us our trespasses and take away our fear through your everlasting grace. Now and forevermore we pray. History teaches us that the truth must be spoken, although the victors in our case, being the British and their favored Fulani Emirates of the North, have rewritten our history. But we are here to correct it by speaking the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. There are a list of non-Igbo officers, non-Igbo speaking officers that fought during the war. They are Biafrans, they are patriots, because they recognize that Biafra is one, held together by a bond of shared and common ancestry. We must honor all of them on this very day. The lies of the media, the deception of the government, the international conspiracy to subjugate and to obliterate Biafra from the face of the earth will no longer be accomplished, because now we have IPOB, and IPOB will defend our land to the ability. That is why we must honor the sacrifices of those who have gone by, that their spirits may rest eternally. The war of genocide waged on we Biafrans by a combination of the British and most Western powers. This is the reason why we must resist every attempt by the oppressor to divide us. They cannot succeed in dividing us, not now, not tomorrow, and not ever. Major General Philip Effiong was Biafra's Chief of General Staff and Head of State. He is from Akwa Ibom. He is not Igbo. I repeat, he was the head of state of Biafra. When they tell you south or part of Niger Delta, you must repudiate such nonsensical and baseless argument with the very clear facts which have stood the test of time. That Philip Effiong is not an Igbo man, was not an Igbo man, but he was the head of state of Biafra. Brigadier Willie Achibong was the commander of Biafra's very feared 58th Brigade. His major theater of battle was in Ikotekbene. He is not an Igbo man. Colonel Nsuda was the commander of the 18th Battalion and 53rd Brigade. His major battle was in Onitsha, where he fought alongside Colonel Achizia. That is a fact. Colonel Nsuda was not an Igbo man. Lieutenant Colonel Franco Kilo was the commander of the 14th Battalion and 63rd Brigade. He was the one that fought at Iguta, 15 miles to Iguacha, that the white man named Port Harcourt. He fought until the end of the war. Colonel Adigio was the commander of Biafra 7th Battalion. His major battle was in Calabar with Lieutenant Colonel Okafor. We remember all of them. Colonel Adigio was not an Igbo man. Mr. Enu Akpan was the secretary to the Eastern Region and the Biafran government. He was not an Igbo man. When they come with their lies, when they seek to deceive you, when they seek to weaken you, you must remain very strong and resolute and continue to preach this very gospel. Do not allow them to dilute it with their lies. That Biafra is one, never an Igbo affair, and can never ever be. Because these men fought and died under the banner of the rising sun. Therefore, we must remember all of them. We know about Franco Pigo. His history is well recounted, well rehearsed, and well written. The one that advised Ojukwu, our head of state, the everlasting commander of the armies of Biafra, that our name is indeed Biafra. We honor him on this very day. And he was also the commissioner for rural development in Yenagoa province. When people tell you we are a Jaw, we are not Biafra, please remind them of Frank Upigo. Because most of them are illiterates, most of them are not conversant with history, because the truth must be spoken. A Jaw is part and parcel of Biafra. They may seek to remove themselves if they wish to do so, but the birth of Biafra would not be complete without this very fine, noble Ijaw man, Mr. Frank Upigo. We remember Mr. Etikinam Basi, the Anang province administrator of Biafra, Mr. Ignatius Kobara, who was Biafra's representative in London, Dr. Gary Layton, who was the deputy head of the research and production department, Mr. Sam Inyang, the communications expert with Biafra's Directorate of Military Intelligence. None of them were Igbo men. We remember Mr. S.E. Moke, the chairman of the Rehabilitation Commission. We remember Dr. S.E. Kofi, the Biafra's relief coordinator. Professor Eyo Basi Ngem, Biafra's Calabar province administrator. Mr. S.N. Dikibo, Biafra's Degema province administrator. Mr. S.J. Idoha, the province administrator of Eket. Mr. Frank Ubut, who is the province administrator of Ogoja, and also Chief J. Udo Afia, the province administrator of Uyo. We remember all of them. They were all gallant and fine Biafrans. They are not Igbo. That is why the lie that Biafra is about Igbo people must be laid to rest today, as we remember these very fine gentlemen that fought for their motherland, that fought for Biafra, and must be honored forever. As long as we live, we must remember them. Because when you erase the memory of victims of genocide, you erase the people as well. If you're looking for a lesson in history, look no further than the Hausa people. Today, Hausa doesn't exist only in language. Everything has been taken over by the Fulanis. All their traditional rulers are Fulani people. All their political leaders are Fulani. The only time they attempted to rise up was under Dr. Aminu Kanu. After the demise of Aminu Kanu, their destruction became even complete. Today is the 30th day of May 2019. We must remember the gallant class of 1967 to 1970. And all those that have fallen victim to the unjust brutality and calculated genocide against the Biafran people. We remember Gideon Akaloka and all victims of religious violence and intolerance in the damnable Zoological Republic. We hear the cries of those in the Middle Belt and besieged communities, even in Yoruba land. We cry for those that died at Mpo 3 years ago. We remember other victims of state-sanctioned terrorism at National High School in Aba. Those that fell at Isiama Faruku in my compound on the 14th of September 2017, and many other victims of countless brutality by the Nigerian state. All of them we mourn, we remember, and we salute their courage on this very day. Today we weep and remember all of you that died in defense of freedom, not just in Biafra land, but all across the world. Some of those in the grave today, in the shallow graves of Okwa, at Nnamdi, those who were disfigured with acid bath from the Nigerian army, we will always be grateful for your sacrifice, for your heroism, and for your patriotism. Some who are still living, who claim that they are the leaders of our people, either through commission or omission, have abdicated their responsibility, but this very IPOB will never abandon our obligation to the dead. Some people have become ungrateful and unmindful of history, to the point of working with the enemy, to the point of collaborating with our oppressors, and those people will pay dearly for it at the right time. They allowed the memory of our war dead to be insulted. Nobody thought about remembering them until this very generation came along, because we must remain eternally grateful for all the sacrifices that you made to ensure our preservation as a race and as a people. Both those that fell in battle and those that fell victim to the unwarranted brutality of the primitive, all of you, we honor you, and this very day, the 30th of May, will be revered, not just this very year, but for eternity. To all of you lying in unmarked graves, some of them horridly dug shallow graves, and buried our people in it. All of you are our heroes. Those of you who were abducted, executed, and had acid poured on their faces to make it impossible for us to identify you. You are all in our prayers today and always will be. We live in hope that your bones shall rise one day through the glorious rebirth of the sacred nation of Biafra. The peculiar show of indifference by the governors in our region and sociocultural organizations have over the years given rise to the disrespectful outburst of what I refer to as the Biafra genocide denial, not just by the government of the zoo, but by the British colonial masters and every major media outlet in the world. But as long as we live, as long as I lead IPOB, the soul of our brave heroes will rest in the assurance that we will never ever forget them. This generation will never forget them. This IPOB will never forget them. This Biafra will always honor their sacrifice. Amid the unspeakable horrors of Fulani terrorism, aided and abated by Britain, the dehumanization we have all suffered, the insults from those who should know better, the agony and the pains, the blackmail, the state-sponsored genocide on Biafrans, and the terror attacks on my father's compound, our obligation to our departed heroes bonds eternal. We have remained steadfast, resilient, courageous, and defiant in ensuring we honor your memory, because with your lives you ransomed ours. We talk of a not too distant hope and freedom in the land of Biafra. Because of the trail you blazed with your blood, we have dedicated our lives to the accomplishment of that which you have started. And this very chosen path of hope and freedom is one that must manifest in our time. The story of those that lie today buried in graves, some of them in places that we do not know, is the legacy of Biafra. Their story we must continue to tell, because they suffered and they died for us. In our quest for freedom, in our unarmed agitation, this very message will be passed from generation to generation. It is therefore the birthright of every child born a Biafran, as it is in other civilized nations, that we must recognize, respect, and honor the sacrifice of those that fought and died for us. By today's act of remembrance all over the world, especially we're sitting at home, we cherish and nurture this very rare possession, the gift that the departed has given to the living. We prove an understanding both of its value and its cost. We build a bridge across time to eternity. For as long there is a Biafran on this very earth, we must remember them. Traitors, collaborators, and quislings cannot stop us. Nothing the enemy does can stop us. The gospel of truth, exposing the plan of the Islamic Caliphate and their jihad, the agenda to Islamize, will be put to shame. Because this IPOB can never crumble. We are unbribable. We are unbuyable. We are resolute and we are determined. We will keep on going until Biafra is restored. The Islamic Caliphate understands this very well, that in IPOB, that the agenda has come to nothing. They know that we have been right all along. They understand, as one writer said, the purity of our message. In Biafra land, their Islamization agenda has come to an end. It doesn't matter what they do. It doesn't matter how many collaborators they manage to recruit. One thing is certain: Biafra land can never be another Kwara State. Enugu can never be another Ilorin. There is no way they can come into our land to convert us either by force or by persuasion, because we are the children of the Most High, the children of light. Our mission in Africa is to bring light, and that we must accomplish in our time. There is no space for Islamization in our land, not today, not tomorrow, not ever. 'Cause 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 The government of the damnable Zoological Republic have been providing protection to Fulani herdsmen, Miyetti Allah Cattle Breeders Association. The cowardice and the fear in Yoruba-dominated media have allowed them to gain a head start on everybody else. And today, even the Yorubas are suffering it. If they come to their senses, they will avert a calamity worse than that their ancestors suffered in Ilorin and Waidakwara. Now is the time for us to close ranks. Now is the time for us to drive away the enemy. Now is the time to remember the injustice of the past and allow it to guide our conduct going into the future, that our race may be preserved, that the will of Elohim Chukwukikada may preserve upon our lives. And on this very day, as we sit at home in contemplation, in prayer, and in supplication for the repose of the soul of those that fought and died for us, always remember the pain and the suffering that is to come. I cannot assure you that this very journey will be smooth all the way. As I have always said, they will kill us, we will kill them, but in the end, Biafra will come. I thank all of you very much. Those of you sitting at home, I encourage you to continue this very noble fight, because in due course, even heaven will bear us witness. Thank you very much. And I will address you 6 p.m. Biafra time. From me, from here, it is a very...
All right, as in Obi Jurumoyi. Okay, see what our able leader have said on concerning 30th May. Didn't get a blogger. There are hundreds of Mazi in the country there, thousands, and we all support you in everything we can do. We will support you, Onyendu. You are not alone in this struggle. All right, and also, at the Ejimoira Neke no Nyobuna Nkebiya, Onya one Yamuro, Monya Milita, Onya Ifa Militara during the protests in Biafra land and so many things. Because Nagadara make a chuko kapi mabagume. You say. All right, Dalo Lin Kono says so that if I kind of menopause I not Azu. I'll say on the 30th May. I gonna Azu to show more clip about Mazi Nnamdi and also his statement, his powerful statement. All right, Azu. Make sure you don't miss it, and also stay tuned at Eastern News 24. Ensure you subscribe so that you will not miss any of our news update. Nebai Dalon Linne, Kemesiano, Umibo, Kemesiano.